Good afternoon. Today's our new topic is lexical cohesion. In this lesson, we will learn about what does it mean lexical cohesion. Let's look through today's new topics items. Lexical cohesion. Lexical cohesion refers to the relations created between lexical items. So, therefore, when talking about lexical cohesion, it is about ties between words and phrases, and moreover, it helps to create text unity. According to Halliday, Hassan, lexical cohesion involves a kind of choice that is open-ended, the selection of a lexical item that is in some way related to one occurring previously, and it is described as the cohesive effect achieved by the selection of vocabulary. This statement infers that our choice of words is the basis of coherence in a text or in an utterance, which implies in turn a certain general knowledge. So in one word, lexical cohesion is a unit that compounded by the lexical words, phrases, and other items in the text. Types of lexical cohesion. According to the Schubert, lexical cohesion can be divided into four groups, which are mostly further subdivided. The first one is repetition and partial repetition, sense relations, paraphrase, and collocation. At first, repetition. A prevalent type of lexical cohesion is repetition, also known as recurrence. Halliday has referred to repetition as reiteration, defining it as form of lexical cohesion which involves the repetition of a lexical item on end of the scale. The use of general word to refer back to lexical item at the end of the scale. Repetition is the most abused type of lexical cohesion. However, it is not restricted to the repetition of the same morphological form of the lexical item. If a word reoccurs in a different morphological form, for example, altered by inflection, derivation, or compounding, we talk about partial repetition. Examples for partial repetition are, for example, the use of nouns and compounds composed of these nouns, using pet, pets, pets, pet dogs, dog and dogs in the same text. Use of an adjective and its adverb in the same text, moral and morally. The use of same word but in different word classes, the British noun and the British people adjective. They are called partial repetitions. Repetition contributes to clearness and continuity in the text, which means it helps to avoid ambiguity. Nonetheless, very frequent repetition might reduce the level of informativity by producing redundancy. Let us look at an example for repetition. For example, the children played with their neighbor's dog. The dog was excited. Here the second occurrence of the dog refers back to the first one. Therefore, repetition is related to four forms of grammatical cohesion. Nevertheless, repetition is more explicit and does not imply to look for reference. Furthermore, a repeated lexical item does not necessarily have to have the same identical content as its first occurrence, like an example above, but there can be various shades of meaning. This so-called referential relation between the first occurrence of the lexical item and its repetition plays an important role. Schubert distinguishes between four such referential relations: identical, inclusive, exclusive, and unrelated. So, for example, there is a child climbing that tree. At first, the child is going to fall if it doesn't take care. B. Those children always getting into mischief. C. And there is another child standing underneath. D. Most children love climbing trees. In A, the child has the same meaning as its first occurrence in the given example sentence. In B, those children being a partial repetition includes the child is an example and also other children. In C, however, another child excludes the child referred to in example sentence, therefore it is about two non-identical children. In D, finally, most children is unrelated to the first mentioned child, since it is not possible to tell whether the child in the example loves climbing trees or not. Sense relations. In opposition to referential relations between lexical items, sense relations are concerned with their meaning. According to the Oxford Concise Dictionary of Linguistics, a sense of relation refers to any relation between lexical units within the semantic system of language. Therefore, the meaning of semantic level is concerned with its counter-sense relations. There are several types of look at Schubert. At first, A, synonymy. According to the Concise Oxford Dictionary of Linguistics, synonymy is a relation between two lexical units with a shared meaning. Synonymy, therefore, is the use of words with similar meaning in the same text, which leads to a cohesive relation between them. Especially the English language is quite rich in synonymy. However, usually such synonyms are not interchangeable because mostly they differ stylistically. If we speak about synonymy, they are those words which their meanings very close to each other. For example, if we can say synonymy, beautiful, gorgeous, pretty, they are synonym to each other. And if we speak about other synonyms, for example, baby and sweetheart also synonym to each other. And the next one is, if you look at the example, there is a child climbing that tree. The little one is going to fall if it doesn't take care. So in this example, little one is a synonym for child, since it has a similar meaning and it builds a cohesive tie referring back to child. Antonymy. Relation is a lexical between words that have opposite meanings. Tall in its basic sense and antonym for short. So from the lexicology, we know that antonyms are the words that which have the opposite meanings to each other. Tall and short, beautiful and ugly, wide and narrow. They are called antonym words. There is no in-between form, inside, outside, male, female. B. Gradable polar antonymy, the extremities of scale with options in between, high, low, big, small, hot, cold. C. Converse antonymy, and even can be seen from different perspectives, by, self, land, below. Directional antonymy, movement in various directions, for example, forward, backward, left, right, north, south. Hyponymy. The sense of relation hyponymy is a hierarchical one, and it exists between two terms in which the sense of one is included in the other. Also, it can be described hyponymy as a relation between two lexical units in which the meaning of the first is included in that of the second. For example, the tree is bearing fruit. We will harvest the oranges soon. Here, fruit is to be subordinate or hypergynym, while oranges is a subordinate or hyponym. Hyponyms, they are the words that um, Forming is similar, but meaning is different words. For example, if we take if it's can example for hyponyms, um, present and present. The first one is noun and second one is verb. So let's watch a video about cohesion and coherence.
Today I want to talk about two important things, cohesion and coherence. First of all, let's define our terms. Cohesion is said to be the glue that holds a paragraph together. In other words, if a paragraph has good cohesion, then we say the ideas flow from one sentence to another sentence smoothly. They're connected, if you would. The end of one sentence is related to the beginning of the next sentence. When we talk about coherence, we are talking about how clear, how logical the ideas are. In other words, how well can a reader understand each sentence, and how it relates to the other sentences, and how it relates to the main idea. Basically, a passage has cohesion and coherence when it flows smoothly and it makes sense. So when a paragraph is choppy or the ideas are hard to follow, it's because it's not cohesive. And likewise, when a paragraph is hard to understand or is somewhat confusing, we say it is not coherent. Let's look more closely now on how to develop cohesion and coherence in our passages. Let's look at these two passages. Which one has better cohesion? When cats are hungry, they rub on your leg and demand immediate attention. However, when they are satisfied, they find a quiet place and sleep. Number two, when cats are hungry, they rub on your leg and demand immediate attention. They find a quiet place and sleep when they are satisfied. So which passage is easier to read, the first one or the second? The first passage is more cohesive because the ideas in the first sentence flow smoothly to the second sentence. Cats are first satisfied and then they find a quiet place to sleep. In the second passage, the last sentence it comes to us almost as new information. Let's look now at another set of passages and ask the same question. Which one is more cohesive? Thousands of people visit Yosemite National Park each year. They come to experience the natural beauties of the magnificent rock cliffs and to enjoy the great outdoors. The rock cliffs pose a great danger from rock slides. Passage number two. Thousands of people visit Yosemite National Park each year. They come to experience the natural beauties of the magnificent rock cliffs and to enjoy the great outdoors. However, what they do not realize is that as beautiful as they are, these rock cliffs also pose a great danger from rock slides. So which passage is easier to read, the first one or the second one? The second passage tends to flow smoother because the last sentence doesn't redirect our attention to the rock cliffs like the first one does. Let's move on to coherence now. A passage can be cohesive, but it may not be coherent. In order for a passage to be coherent, readers first need to clearly identify the topic of each sentence, and then they need to be able to recognize how the sentence topics connect to each other and to the main idea of the passage. Let's look at this passage. It starts off well. We can even say it is cohesive, but it doesn't have coherence. Apple computers have become increasingly popular, especially in educational and media circles. With their user-friendly no bells and whistle styles, they soon become a standard. Apple computers offer virtually an endless resource to simple yet effective software. Software is key to building success in a global world. When the world became globalized, many difficult issues began to emerge. The passage is rather difficult to read. It begins by telling us how Apple computers became popular, but it ends with global issues. The passage seems to flow, but the topics in each sentence are really not connected to each other, nor are they connected to the main idea. Let's look now at a coherent passage, written by a Dr. Branschik, published in the Psychology Today magazine. Your goal must be something that you can possibly do. You may not be able to lose 100 pounds, buy a bank, or have 10 children. If your goals seem out of reach, think of them as possible long-term goals and set something more achievable as a short or moderate-term goal. Lose 10 pounds, save some money, or start dating. So we ask the question, is the passage cohesive? We have to say yes. Each sentence links to the one before it and links to the one after it. It's easy to read. Is the passage coherent? Again, we have to say yes. We are able to identify the topic in each sentence, and each sentence supports the main idea. In this workshop, we've talked about a number of important things, about sentence fragments, run-on sentences, comma splices, and how to write compound and complex sentences. And now we've just talked about cohesion and coherence. I want to focus for a few minutes now on proofreading. Often students want a quick and easy way to find the mistakes in their papers. But in reality, there is no one method that'll guarantee you'll find all the mistakes and all the inconsistencies. The basic principle is to start with the big and move to the small. We start with organization and content. Then we examine sentence structure and word choices, then spelling, and then punctuation. So first, read the passage from the beginning to the end without stopping, and then ask yourself these questions. Is the organization of the passage easy to follow? Can you identify the main ideas and the supporting details easily? Is the passage saying something meaningful about the topic? Is the passage coherent? Did you use in-text citations correctly? Next, examine the sentence structures of your passage. Did you use a variety of simple, compound, complex sentences? Are the sentences organized in such a way that the passage is cohesive? Make sure to check for sentence fragments, run-ons, and comma splices. Next, did you use words that develop thought? Do the words fit into the passage, and are they appropriate for the topic? And lastly, check for misspelled words. Make sure each sentence begins with a capital letter and ends with a period. And make sure commas and quotation marks are used correctly. Now that brings us to the end of this workshop. And I want to say personally, thank you for joining us. And I hope you learned some new ways of writing effective paragraphs. I hope to see you again. And if you have any questions, make sure you click on the link above and email me your questions. I'd love.
So, I think from this video, it's very understandable and clearly what does it mean cohesion and coherence. Thank you for your attention. Our lesson is over. Goodbye.